here today?
Well, I can tell you that at a little bit before 11:22 this morning, Guilford Metro 911 started to receive calls about an active shooter at Spectrum here on Regional Road. Officers were immediately dispatched. First units were on scene at 11:25 hours. And as they were arriving on scene, information was shared from Guilford Metro 911 that folks stated that the suspect had left the building and was in the parking lot. Officers immediately encountered the suspect and took them into custody without further incident. We also determined that there was a second suspect that was also in the parking lot that was taken into custody immediately as well. 2 firearms were seized from the suspects. I can tell you that there were no injuries inside the business. One suspect had a minor injury that was not related to the arrest.
And we had heard that these were possible ex-employees.
At this time, we cannot confirm any information like that. Our investigation is still evolving. And as soon as possible, we will share more information via a press release from Josie.
And what can you tell us about the weapons that were seized?
At this time, I can just share that they were 2 firearms. I can tell you that there is no further threat to the public. And I can share with you also a little bit of information about our response protocols. Active shooter calls are ones that we never want to hear. We never want to have to respond to. However, when something like that's dispatched, it is a multi-agency response. Our primary focus is getting to the location, locating the threat, and taking them into custody and stopping the threat. And that was absolutely the focus of our first responders here today. It was a joint effort, as I mentioned, between Greensboro Police Department, Guilford County Sheriff's Department, Greensboro Fire, Guilford County EMS were also involved. At the request of EMS, Air Care was also responding to the area just in case they were needed. Gratefully, there were no significant injuries and Air Care was not needed. But on something like this, our focus is to get to the location, locate any suspects involved, and take them into custody. And I can tell you that even after 2 suspects were encountered in the parking lot, our officers still went inside the building, assisting with evacuation and certainly making sure there was no additional threat leaving that were left inside the building.
And were shots discharged from the folks that were arrested?
The suspects, there were shots that were initially fired per the information we got from Guilford Metro 911. When the calls first came in, they said the suspect was inside the building, was actively firing rounds. Upon police arrival, there were no more rounds that were fired, and Greensboro Police and Guilford County Sheriff's Department did not fire any rounds.
Can you tell us what was hit when they were firing?
It appears that the suspect made entry into the building through a locked door and it was shattered from one of the rounds fired from a weapon.
Were employees here put on lockdown immediately?
I believe the employees followed the protocols that were in place. Our employees here were extremely helpful. They were calm under a very chaotic situation. Staff was extremely helpful to the officers upon arrival. And so we appreciate, let me first say also that we appreciate Spectrum's work in that respect. And we appreciate the cooperation of everyone else that was responding to the area here as well.
And can you tell us anything about the suspects at this time?
At this time, I cannot. I can just tell you that there were 2 people that were taken into custody.
Is there anything else that you haven't shared that you would like to?
Just that it was an outstanding response time from the initial calls that were, as I mentioned, came into Guilford Metro 911 at 11:22 hours. First units were on scene at 11:25. And that's an outstanding response time. And immediately upon arrival, locating the threats, taking care of the threats, and then going inside the building to make sure there were no other threats inside the building. And as I mentioned, that's absolutely our first priority when we go to an active shooter call.